Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to take a look at the Star Wars, the original Marvel Years Omnibus Volume 1. This was published in 2015. I hadn't had a chance to do a review on it. It's an older one, that's why this is a retro review. It's an oldie but goodie, and if you're a Star Wars fan, Marvel Comics fan, this is a good one. It's very much, not a big omnibus, but it's very much classic Marvel omnibus from several years ago. There's the spine, and then here's all the issues that it contains. On the back, it contains Star Wars 1 through 44 and annual number 1. Let's see. I don't know if you can see this. There's a slight gray. I don't know. It's like using negative space or something on there. There's nothing on the spine. Got the first splash page. The issues start off with July 1977 and they go all the way through February of 1981. So it basically ends with The Empire Strikes Back. Now Star Wars, here's an introduction by Roy Thomas. But here we go. There's the first issue. Everyone knows this is a key issue nowadays. Star Wars is a big thing with me. I remember living in England at the time. I was 8 years old, 1977. My mother asked me if I would like to go see a movie that I'd never heard of before called Star Wars. And being 8 years old, that sounded pretty cool. Star Wars, sure, okay. Yeah, whatever that is. And I was blown away. My 8-year-old mind was just completely mind-boggled. And I can't really say this about a lot of movies, but Star Wars was like a life changer. It impacted me like no other movie ever has. I went home and I raved about it to my dad, so much so that he wanted to see it, and he took me to see it the next day. So I saw Star Wars in 1977, when it first came out, 2 days in a row. Now, Marvel got the comic rights from Lucasfilm, from George Lucas, and the first issue is written by Roy Thomas and illustrated by Howard Chaykin. So any of you Howard Chaykin fans, you know the artwork. And it just it starts off with the original story, of course, adapted from the first film, but it's a little bit more interesting because it's like some of the deleted scenes from the movie are actually incorporated into the storyline. So we have Luke going back to Tatooine and talking to his friend Biggs. So it's interesting that they've kind of fleshed out the storyline more than the movie. I don't know if they had access to George's original notes or anything, but it was cool that they were able to do that. A little bit about Star Wars. The letters page that was starting. Issue number 2, first appearance of Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ben Kenobi. Howard Chaykin and Roy Thomas still doing the duties. Let's see, I think this is first appearance of Chewbacca. First appearance of Han Solo. And of course, as we know, Han Solo shoots first when he's shooting Greedo. Sorry, George, we liked it that way better in the first time. The paper quality is really nice. It's a very smooth. It's a thin feel, but it feels like good quality paper, and kind of glossy. It almost reminds me of the Marvel Masterworks ones, but kind of not. And here we go. We're still going with the adaptation of the first movie. And this is taking place on Yavin. And again, still the first movie, Battle of Yavin. This is a complete treasure trove for Star Wars fans. I don't know how available these issues are. I know for a long time they were pretty easy to get. Here we have the end of the movie. That's the end of the comic adaptation. So really, this is the first all-new story. This is the first one that they've had to make up, create on their own. And I think it's really cool. Considering that at the time, Roy Thomas, Howard Chaykin, Marvel Comics in general, had no idea where Star Wars is going, what characters were going to come up. Everything, situations between Leia being Luke's sister, Darth Vader being Luke's father. None of that was known at the time. So they're completely winging it. And I think they do a good job. Here we have Archie Goodwin. Well, let's see. Did Archie Goodwin take over on the previous issue? Let's take a look. Star Wars number 10. Don Glut wrote this one, and then Howard Chaykin continued the art duties. So it's this one, issue 11, is the first time that Archie Goodwin is writing, and Carmine Infantino and Terry Austin have taken over the art duties. And I like Carmine's artwork. He was always cool to me. Even as a kid, I knew Carmine. I just think his art is cool. It's a little kind of angular looking, but I just like the way he does it. It's just a lot of different stories, and I do like them. It's just strange reading them now, knowing what happens in the movies, and this is all stuff that we we didn't know about at the time. Walt Simonson and Bob Wycheck were guest artists on this one. I saw this issue on Comic Tom the other night, and it was some kind of key for some reason. I don't remember why, but it was like on the top trending list he was going over. But yeah, it's just interesting because they've had to make up a lot of characters. The only characters they had access to were the ones in the first Star Wars movie. So everything is kind of made up on the fly, you know, and they did a good job. Okay, Archie, Goodwin, and Carmine Infantino were back. I read several of these issues as a kid. Is probably one of my early childhood memories of reading comics. My first actual novel that I remember reading as a child was Splinter of the Mind's Eye. I think, who wrote that? Alan Dean Foster, I think. And it was like the first Star Wars story told that wasn't an adaptation of the movie as well. But lots of fun. I seem to remember the issue with the wheel. I seem to remember that. This one I had. I remember the cover very well. I liked this scene right here. Ben Kenobi in some kind of cantina or something. This guy goes after him with a knife, and he completely takes him out with the lightsaber from he's like from behind. He doesn't even turn around. I just really stuck with me as a kid. I don't know why. I just thought that was cool that Ben did that. Anybody looking forward to the Obi-Wan series on Disney Plus? Here's a story of Siege at Yavin. I'm looking forward to the Obi-Wan series. I always like the TIE fighters. Yeah, the Hunter is back. That was from the other issue. Chewie's kind of, they made him pretty wide. Dark Encounter is the next issue. And we have Darth Vader. Look at that. That's cool. Who knew that all these years later, it's 2022, and Star Wars is still a thing. My 8-year-old self would also have been mind blown to realize that when I was an adult, that Star Wars would become such a cultural phenomenon that it still exists. They're still making movies, still doing comics, still merchandising and toys. It boggles my mind. Oh, here we go. What is this one? This is a special bonus cover gallery. They had put this in the comic. These are the Star Wars weekly comics that were published in England as black and white issues. So they wanted to show what Marvel UK was doing. And that was cool. You know what? I kind of remember that one too. I wonder if I had any of the British ones. I don't remember. Anyone remember this? A troop carrier? I had the toy of that. That you could put the stormtroopers on the side, and you press the buttons, and it made different sound effects. It was great. It was great. I had a lot of Star Wars toys. Wished I'd kept them. But, you know, back in the day, you play with them, and you don't know that one day they're going to be collectible to somebody. You don't think about that kind of stuff when you're a kid. Lots of lightsaber battles. I really enjoy all these issues. I have collected all 3 volumes of the original Marvel Years omnibuses. If any of you are interested in seeing a review of the next 2, let me know and I'll do it. I just really like Carmine's art. He's cool. Here we have Luke facing off against Darth Vader. This is way before Empire Strikes Back, so we didn't know that he's fighting his father. And of course, in the movies, he didn't fight Darth Vader until The Empire Strikes Back. So here they're doing it before then. So that was interesting. Oh, I've forgotten. Here we go. The Empire Strikes Back. So they have written comics through the release of Star Wars all the way through The Empire Strikes Back. So here's the first issue of the adaptation of Empire. It's issue number 39. And it's like the movie. Obviously. I'm trying to remember, it's been a while since I've read this, if there was much difference in the adaptation. I'm not sure that there was. There's a behind-the-scenes look at producing the comics adaptation of The Empire Strikes Back by Archie Goodwin. So if you're interested in reading that, it's got a lot of, it's a nice big essay. Here we have what is now a key issue for Star Wars Marvel Comics fans. This is the very first appearance of Boba Fett in comics. So this one's quite a collectible if you can find yourself a nice copy of it. Here we have also the British cover gallery from Star Wars Weekly in England there. It's nice of them to let us know what our friends across the pond are getting to read and look at. I remember this issue, having it. I was, like I said, I've always been a huge Star Wars fan ever since the first one, and enjoyed reading these. It was back in the days before these were ever released on home video. It was a nice way to to relive the movies. Let's see, for extras, well, they got a pinup section right here. This really isn't an, well, let's see, hold on. This one's pretty cool. Frank Miller did this one right here. And of course, I remember having this one. This is the last issue of the Empire Strikes Back adaptation. And of course, here's Darth Vader finally telling Luke that I am your father. And that blew my mind as a kid. I thought he was lying. I thought, no. I was like Luke. I'm like, no, that can't be true. And then it ended like this. And I'm like, what? What? There's still more of the story to go. They're not done. And it just ended. And I'm like, Then I had to wait for Return of the Jedi to come out. Here we have a house ad for the first Star Wars issue. This is some of the extras that they have now. This is a Star Wars poster by Howard Chaykin. It was released at the San Diego Comic-Con in 1976 to promote Star Wars film and the adaptation. And notice the Star Wars font has yet to be used on that one in 1976. Here we have some original artwork, cover arts, comic ads for Star Wars merchandise. The very first merchandise that was being released. Lots of original art here if you really like looking at as extras. You got Marvel Special Edition covers. Lots of those. Here we have Star Wars Omnibus, the complete saga, episodes 1 through 6. I don't have that one. And then, of course, we have the cover from the original Star Wars redone. Maybe it's trade paperback, maybe it's a painting. Maybe somebody knows. I'm not sure. So that's the book. It retailed for $125 back in the day in 2015, which wasn't, well, it's not cheap now. It certainly wasn't cheap back then. I've tried to find this to check availability. It seems that it's out of print, and the few places I can find it, it was going for absolutely incredibly stupid prices. So unless you're a huge Star Wars fan and you absolutely have to have this, money no object, I'd hold out. Maybe Marvel will reprint it. I think it's due for a reprint. Star Wars is still popular. Volumes 2 and 3, I think, are still available, so I'm not sure why this one is out of print when the other two aren't. If you ever find this anywhere for a cheap price, do not hesitate picking it up. You'll regret it if you don't. I do recommend it. I hope that the only thing, like I say, I hope for is that Marvel reprint it. So come on, Marvel, let's have a reprint and let everybody get a copy of this omnibus who didn't get a copy before. So anyway, thank you for your time. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye.